Eyes Above the Atmosphere by Taylor Schrader and Thomas Rohde. Lockheed Martin, also called Skunk Works, was the inventor of this plane and many other planes that had amazing capabilities.
The U-2 is the most important spy plane ever made and has the most advanced technology reconnaissance and spying has ever seen.
The Lockheed U-2 was created in 1955.
The Lockheed U-2 could fly 90,000 feet in the air, causing which that the pilots had to wear pressurized suits with oxygen pumps.
Fly me to the moon, let me play up there with those stars.
Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars.
The designer and inventor of this plane was Vice President of Lockheed, Clarence L. Kelly Johnson.
It was almost impossible for Lockheed, but I can assure you that it was also an extremely tight schedule working within the bureaucracy.
The U-2 was a one-seat high-flying plane. The trainer planes had 2 seats so that a pilot could teach a co-pilot how to fly the plane.
The Lockheed U-2 was invented in 1955 and has many different upgrades. The U-2 is still used today.
In other words, hold my hand.
In other words, baby, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me sing.
With only 2 wheels custom built into the plane, the U-2 had to have specialized wheels called pogos underneath the wing in order to take off. These pogos are left on the ground after the plane takes flight.
Forevermore, you are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true.
The reason the U-2 can fly 90,000 feet is because it flies above radar to spy on the enemy.
With its glider-like wings, the U-2 was able to cut off its engines and glide in circles. The U-2's job was to spy on an enemy and take pictures with its high-powered camera. Impact today. Today we are able to train astronauts for high-altitude flying and are still able to fly over the enemy and spy on them.
Short-term impact. The Lockheed U-2's short-term impact in the Cold War was to spy over the Soviet Union. The Cold War was between America and the Soviet Union. Lockheed U-2 specifications. It had a crew of 1 unless it was a trainer plane, and then it had a crew of 2. It had a length of 63 feet. Its wingspan from wing to wing is 103 feet. Its height is 16 feet. Its empty weight with all its basic equipment is 14,300 pounds. Its maximum takeoff weight is 40,000 pounds. Performance. It had a maximum speed of 500 miles per hour. Its cruising speed is 429 miles per hour. Its service ceiling is more than 85,000 feet.
In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me.
Fill my heart with song, let me sing forevermore.
shot down because it flew so high above other planes servicing.
In other words, please be true. In other words, in other words, in other words, in other words, I love you.
U-2 only had 2 wheels on the body, so it had trouble landing. The wings would tilt and scrape the ground, thus turning the plane. This helps prove the name that the plane was given of the hardest plane to pilot in the world.
We could fly away. These vibes, baby. We could fly away.
The U-2 had no weapons and no way to defend itself other than to fly above other planes' surfaces.
Somewhere far, someplace where no one else can go. Someplace where only you and I know how to get there.
Francis Gary Powers was a U-2 pilot with one of the most famous crashes of our time. He was spying over the Soviet Union, and he was shot down by an S-75 Davina, a surface-to-air missile. Francis failed to activate the plane's self-destruct sequence, and the plane was still intact when it hit the ground. He didn't use a cyanide pill, so he told the Russians a lot about the U.S. missions. When he returned, he had a cold welcome.
Someplace where only doves have seen the skies. Someplace where only you and I know how to get there. Black and beats vibes, baby. And we can touch the sky. Together we can find a way. We can make it there.
When the U-2 would land on an airstrip, it had to be chased and monitored by cars speeding after it.
Despite its trouble with landing and taking off, the U-2 was still able to land and take off from an aircraft carrier.
Since the early years that the Lockheed U-2 was used, it has almost never been shot down.
The U-2 was also used by NASA for training astronauts to handle high altitudes.
In the early years that a U-2 was used, it was mostly kept in secret and feared that any enemy that might want to attack the USA would find out about the technology the U.S. Air Force uses and the plans that the U.S. makes.
The U-2 was kept such a secret that when Carmen Vito had to make an emergency landing at a California airport, a team of mechanics had the plane totally disassembled in 23 minutes.
The U-2 is an amazing plane that has been used for over 50 years. There is also no expectancy that they will stop using it anytime soon. Thanks for watching.